The biggest surprise over the last 18 months has been, to me, the inability of people to grasp in a sort of a reasonable manner of what is going on. In other words, people's minds have become completely confused. Now, what I've realized since then, that this confusion actually is something that has been systematically placed upon the human modus operandi for a very, very long time. So that perhaps has been the most profound learning experience over the last 18 months, which have brought many moments of deep inner knowing, clarity, and enlightenment. Now, I want to elaborate a little bit on this because, particularly as we are going deeper into the unraveling of our reality into a much more profound understanding of what really is beyond that what we think that is. So it's really, really quite important to understand this. So, well, most of you, certainly those of you who followed me for a long time, you will know the mind is programmed. I would almost go as far as to say that we are ultimately, the way we have been constructed is a form of a very sophisticated and benign AI technology. So there is good and there is bad AI. It's not all bad. We have got to be absolutely clear about this because these are the higher realms of operating one aspect of the higher realms of operating. So, okay, what has happened, of course, unfortunately, is that there is an entity that really understands very well how the universe works, much better than you do or I do, and pretty much everybody out there, at least when we operate purely from the linear mind alone, because the linear mind can only do one thing, and that is look in the past, and from the past it assesses what it observes in the present and how it interprets it. So if you understand that the biggest finding over the last 15 years about memory is the fact that actually as much as 50% of memory is inaccurate. Well, what is this telling you about how you see reality? Well, first of all, it must tell you that most of what you give meaning to is at best skewed and at worst certainly not accurate. Now, when you understand that, a very, very different vista opens. And then, when you have studied NLP, as yours truly certainly has, this is how I started out learning NLP, and I learned from somebody who had trained with Richard Bandler, and it was a very, very interesting journey, and I learned very, very early on. I was given the opportunity to work with other people, being supervised, of course, but working with other people, learning some of the methods I was taught. And I realized very early on that using that modality actually enabled me to do things over which ultimately I had no control, and I didn't understand why, or I felt in the early days I didn't have any control. And the reason was, of course, I didn't fully understand exactly how it worked and what it does. Now, 20 years later, it's a different story, of course, because you just continue growing, expanding, and learning. So, and I worked on a client, and it was just unbelievable. I got them into a state. They were not themselves anymore. The common word is a hypnotic state. Um, so I had to get them out of it. I had not intended to do this, by the way, because I do not believe in anything that is that invasive. And that shocked me that much. Fortunately, it happened very early on in my learning about all what is possible here. So I basically decided to stop using it, and it is something I am very, very strict about. To this day, I would not use it because it's dangerous. And this is basically what's bringing me to the key point of this short little video here. We're not going to go on forever today, where I realized in the last 18 months this is exactly what is being done and has been done to your brain systematically for many, many, many years. So, and there are many, many different ways of how this is being done. One big part is the so-called science of the images, which I have turned into a healing program, which is part of my program Freedom from the Matrix. Incidentally, Freedom from the Matrix is the program. It's a program of learning, unlearning, undoing, expanding into using more of you and ultimately awakening your self-healing ability. Now, this is the ultimate, in my opinion. It is about nothing else, really. It is not about whether you believe in channeling, whether you believe in religion. It is about understanding how you function, how your mind creates its stories, and then experiencing this for yourself. And these stories then go into the feelings of your emotions, and then you understand, that's the first part of healing from the matrix, how this is systematically being done to the human mind and the human body, which has resulted in what we see at the moment as a very dystopian and disturbed world view. Of course, you can change that, but let me tell you one thing, you will not change it by going around constantly sort of hanging on the latest news channel, whether it is an official news channel or even for that matter an alternative news channel where we hope you are getting more of the real stuff that's going on. Well, maybe yes, you do. You may have a deeper grasp if you have spent hours upon hours upon hours on research on how reality really works. I mean, I certainly have, I mean, decades, and learned and changed along the way, of course, as I learned more and I said, well, no, it's not quite so. And actually, rather, it is more like this. So you got to be prepared to change your mind, which is difficult when you are constantly being bombarded with something which is externally induced on you to make you think and feel in a certain way. Well, we don't want this. So we have to unlearn this side of us, which is, let me say again, externally induced, so that we can then put in place the right things. Since this has been going on for so long, this is not a one-day wonder. You do not learn to ride a bicycle by getting on the bicycle once. You do not learn to drive a car by getting on the simulator once. And you do not learn to understand the true nature of you and undo the confusion that has been systematically put into your brain to stop you from critically thinking by doing an occasional little meditation. Most meditation actually is not good for you because it's externally induced, and it takes you from one program into the next and puts you into the illusion that, oh, well, I feel so wonderful and wow, I've had a vision. This is not what meditation is about. That's another form of confusion. I'm sorry to say this in such clear terms because there are many, far too many forms of meditations out there who use all sorts of artificial ways to get you into a state which again is not you. Yes, you can experience it, but the real reality of life is appreciated through your dominant frequency. It's experienced, I should say, through your dominant frequency, which you offer to the universe. So we need to learn to be in a state that is, first of all, in alignment with our original template, and every one of us has it, and it varies from a person to person. So we need to find out what that is. Well, I can guarantee you one thing: getting into a vision because you do a certain form of binaural beat, or you play around with certain forms of hypnotic inductions, is not it. That's just replacing another program with another, overlaying another program with another. Only that program feels better. So we need to go back to, first of all, understanding exactly how it all works and really get back to basics. And the beauty is this: you need to do far less in order to change yourself than you have been told to do. And this is something that is so hard to grasp for everybody who's out there. We need to do something, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, or everything is going to collapse. Well, it's collapsing anyway. There's nothing you can do about it, because that is the nature of things. It need not necessarily be bad. So please understand this. Please understand that, yes, you have to do a little bit more than just listening to one or two videos here, because ultimately it is about taking what a video offers you, and maybe what I say, if it speaks to you, and then take the next step. Now here, obviously the next step would be to sign up to my newsletter and learn a little bit more. I mean, that's really a no-brainer. And I'd say, only if it speaks to you, and only then. And I'd say this again, minds are confused. Critical thinking has gone out of the window. It's been systematically programmed out of you. So to get it back, okay, I want you to understand that, yes, you can do it. The beauty is you can unlearn everything and find yourself again, get back into that grounding of you. So yes, it starts by signing up to my newsletter and learning a little bit more of how it is done. You get access to my webinars, of course, and I do online programs. At the moment, I just do online programs. It works extremely well because the energy transmits. Everything is energy, of course, and it transmits extremely well through the medium of the computer, and what is coming online very soon, with the new system. So I am very excited about this, and I continue to work with this. And well, maybe over the next few months, as we're moving forward, may start doing more in-person meetings and trainings locally only. And I live in the UK, in the Vale of Belvoir. Thank you for watching this video. If it speaks to you, please share it and like it. Thank you very much.